Good evening, folks. Well, I don't look my best, but I certainly feel a hell of a lot better than I did last night. Um, so let's talk because now the Aces are one game away from heading back to the finals. Um, so we're going to be honest about stuff here. Okay, this is the kind of series where a team that has deficiencies, those deficiencies become glaring sometimes, okay? And I think we can all agree that this was not the team we envisioned uh, being on the floor at this time of the year. We did envision the Indiana Fever going deeper into the playoffs than they did the previous year, but not with this team. And to me, and I'm sorry about this, but you're going to see this because it's just the way it is. The biggest difference between the Aces and the Fever is what I call balanced scoring. Okay. So Wilson did not have to dominate. The MVP did not have to dominate tonight, and she didn't. She had 13 points, but she had Jackie Young with 20. They had Jackie Young with 25, Nalissa Smith with 16, Chelsea Gray with 15, and off the bench, Dana Evans with 10. All through this pretty much playoff run, it's been the Kelsey Mitchell show. And one player doesn't cause you to lose, but one player doesn't help you to win either. And this is the deficiency between the Aces and the Fever, and it became apparent tonight, I think. There were, however, areas that we could have capitalized on that may have changed the trajectory of this game. For example, going 13 for 21 from the free throw line. We all complain about the officiating, but once you get to the line, you've got to convert more than 66%, particularly when you have been converting 77% all throughout the playoffs. The Fever also dominated the boards 33 to 20 and dominated the offensive rebounding 16 to 4, but they couldn't capitalize on that. And again, they had their cold spell, okay? So they kept this thing close for 3 quarters, okay? And the problem was when you get to the end of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter, you go 9 minutes without a field goal. That's a problem. So that's just my take on the whole package of what the difference is between the two teams. And as I have said, and I'm going to say it, one of the biggest, most glaring areas is the lack of Caitlin Clark, who could spread the ball around and change the picture on the floor. I believe this is, I mean, people are going to accuse me of being a Caitlin Clark groupie, and I am, but Caitlin Clark is the playmaking guide. She's the premier playmaking guide in the league, even though she has missed most of the season. That has not changed, in my opinion. Okay, it just means she didn't have a chance to play her game this year due to injury. But if people don't believe that Caitlin Clark can make this team a more balanced team, they're definitely wrong, because I think that has been one of the most glaring deficiencies this team has had, is not having Caitlin Clark on the floor. Yes, it's possible for some players to stand out and step up, but not on a consistent basis. I maintain if Caitlin Clark had been playing all season long, she could have had a double-double almost every night. And I'm going to say that I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think that's what you're going to see next year. But be that as it may, let's talk about this year. So let's talk about the stats. from the Fever side, okay? My star of the game is Lexi Hull tonight. She's playing with a back injury. She actually did not participate in shoot around out of an abundance of caution because she has been playing with a back injury. But even with a back injury, she registered a double-double. 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. So Lexi Hull is my star of the game. Yes, she got into some foul trouble that hampered her aggressiveness on the defense, but that's not why they lost this game, okay? Natasha Howard, 5 points, 5 rebounds, no assists. Aaliyah Boston, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Kelsey Mitchell, 21 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Odyssey Sims, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Michaela Timpson, 5 points, 4 rebounds, no assists. And Shea Petty, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Let's see what else we got here. I'm not sure there's other stats that are worth mentioning. Because again, lack of bench depth is a problem for the Fever. And that's, I'm going to say this right now. There will be a lot of people out there pointing fingers at Stephanie White after this game. I'm not going there, okay? When the Fever wins, they don't give Stephanie White any credit for anything. But when the Fever loses, they give Stephanie White full fault for that. Stephanie White is not coaching the team that she envisioned coaching when she stepped into this job this past May. Okay? Absolutely not. This was not what she was expecting. So she has managed to cobble together a team that has gone into the semifinals, a team that nobody picked to even make the playoffs after losing 5 players to season-ending injuries, including Caitlin Clark. Okay? So let's get real here. We're not going to do the Stephanie White dump. Okay? I believe that Stephanie White has a right to come back next year with a fully healthy team and give it another go. Now, will she come back? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball because I just don't. I know she was on a 1-year contract. I can't envision her being fired by the Fever. Not given what the circumstances surrounding her ability to coach has been all year long. And so, no, I don't see that happening. But, like I said, I wasn't expecting Sandy Brondello to be fired either. But anything can happen. We're going to have to wait until the end of the season to figure that out because none of that's going to be revealed at this point. So let's talk about where we are. Okay, yes, the Aces are 1 game away from being back in the finals. They have to win Sunday to do that. They are still at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the crowd can make a huge difference. And and I know that the Fever are going to come out and give it 100%. They have been doing that pretty much all year. And that Stephanie White will make some adjustments. It's hard to make those adjustments when you don't have the versatility out there, okay? When you don't have balanced scoring. When you're relying on, for the most part, Kelsey Mitchell, which is what put her into the conversation for MVP. Let's talk about another couple of areas here where the Fever could have changed the trajectory of this game because it wasn't a horrible loss by any stretch of the imagination. You can complain about the officiating, but when you get to the line, you have to convert. They were 13 of 21 from the free throw line. That's only 66%. And they have, throughout the playoffs, been shooting 77%. Okay, that's a big gap. They also dominated on the boards. I'm going to make sure the numbers I wrote down, I reflect the right stats, but I believe they were pretty glaring. Okay, so on the boards, the Fever dominated 33-20, and they dominated in offensive rebounds 16-4. So had they capitalized on some of that, this could have been a very different game. The biggest glare, however, was the 9 minutes they went without a field goal at the end of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. And again, it's hard to win playoff games under those circumstances. So all I can say is this. The Fever will not give up. They haven't given up all throughout this playoff season. Nobody expected them to get out of the first round. They get out of the first round. Nobody I know as a fan expected them. A lot of people I know expected this to be a sweep for the Aces. Although the odds makers, many of them have been saying the Aces in 5. So the odds makers have at least given some credit to the Fever. But like I said, we can win on Sunday in Gainbridge, and we can push this thing back to Las Vegas. And you know what? We took one in Vegas. Anything can happen in the playoffs. The playoffs and the regular season are two entirely different animals, okay? So let's see what we can do on Sunday. Now, I will be back tomorrow with a video. I got kind of a fun video in mind, something to take the pressure off that we can just enjoy, okay? Nothing new, nothing earth-shattering. There's nothing new and earth-shattering to report. This is playoff time. The only thing there is to report, which I will report on, is what the status is of the other semifinal, but I'm not going to do that tonight because I had everything I could do to put this thing together before collapsing back into bed. But I will be back tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about the rest of the playoff scenario. And then we'll get into some video that I have managed to find. And we will be watching Sunday at 3 o'clock to see if the Fever can push this to 5 games and try to get into the finals. All hope is not lost here, folks. So I will see you again tomorrow. You have a great night. And yeah, that's it. Later.